come once again to discuss things.
Well, speaking of Sun, Moon, and Satan, hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Super2, joining me today is Milan Jeftic1992, and the Steve Baxi, or the Baxi, or Beware the Baxi, or something like that.
Beware the Steve Baxi.
Beware the Steve Baxi. That is a lovely name.
Yeah, doesn't it? Because I was always talking to Alex about that, and maybe I should get like a theme song going for it.
Too. Alex should just make intros for YouTubers now. Like that's what he should do forever now. Anyway, what are we talking about? Well, hey, it's my topic. I should introduce it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are doing a weird kind of review / discussion thingamabob. It's a Geeky Gentleman show. It's bound to go off into a billion different directions, but we're doing a review of both the movies and the comics of a particular red BPRD agent, HellBoy. Yes, we are. And the world is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, Ian, I hear you're not much of a HellBoy fan, like in the comics-wise.
Yeah, because my only exposure to the character has been the movies, and I mean, the movies are good, but they're not go spend money on comics good.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, I mean, I'm sure that for some people they are, but that's just not my thing anyway, so there's nothing in the movies that made me go, yes, I have to get more of this character.
But there's a man...
Like the whole supernatural thing doesn't do it for me.
Oh, wow, that's surprising.
That is surprising. I mean, there's a man that with a tumor growing out of his chest that looks like a baby. What more do you want?
I mean, I don't know about you guys,
like,
but the first time I saw the movies, I wanted to buy the comics, like, really badly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, like I said, it's just, there's nothing wrong with the movies or anything, it's just that they're not my thing. I don't really go for the whole supernatural thing that much.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Weirdly enough, what really got me into HellBoy was the first movie. I watched it, and then I kind of saw, for the first time, Mike Mignola's magnificent artwork, and my soul sang with the glorious shadows of it all. And I'm like, I must devour everything by this man. And I did. And
he is one of the best artists in comics, period.
You know what he is? I love him so much because he plays with negative space with such a, like, he does it so well, but he also has this weird thing that he does where he, like, if you see a Mike Mignola panel in black and white, he's a master of coloration as well. But when you have a black and white Mike Mignola panel, it looks like a black and white, like the lighting on it, it looks like a black and white Universal Horrors picture. It really does. I mean, like the shadows, the way they all fall on HellBoy on the face. Holy shit! It's it looks like fucking Frankenstein. It's lit in such a magnificently, universal way. The studio, I mean. Right, yeah.
And I find it almost impossible to not recognize his work.
Oh, definitely.
Like, it can be anything. You could not even know who he is, but as long as you've seen something by him, you'll know it's the same artist. He's got such a distinct style.
Oh, definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely.
Well, like, building off what you said about the Universal monster movies thing, that's interesting, because I don't think that really translated overall into this film, or these films, rather.
Well, that's just like Guillermo del Toro, just Guillermo del Toroing shit up. He's like, I'm just gonna have eyes and fucking long fingers and fleshy gookiness everywhere. But funny enough, he manages to grasp the spirit and the look of the comics, especially in a really, like, not so subtle ways, because it's Guillermo del Toro, and God bless him for it, but, like, in the colors, like, some of the blues and the reds, they stand out in such a way that, like, they have the movie also has the same power that most of the Mike Mignola panels do. They're instantly burned into your frontal lobe with the sheer iconicness of them all. You know, it's like, there's HellBoy punching a weird tentacle monster in the face repeatedly. Yes, 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 oh yes, yes, oh god, I gotta clean up now. You know.
Oh, I agree completely, because, I mean, more than just images, there are complete sequences in the films that you can only see them once and they'll still be ingrained in your brain, just like any HellBoy panel.
Oh, definitely.
I disagree with that, because I remembered next to nothing from either of these movies rewatching them.
Oh,
except
wow.
For,
That's shocking.
Except for the corpse on HellBoy's back. That's the only thing I remembered from the first movie.
Wow.
That's shocking.
Not really. You know, Ian has stated multiple times that he has no heart or soul, so that's understandable. But you'd think, like, maybe he would, since, you know, the dark emptiness, well, not really. HellBoy's, funny enough, like, Mike Mignola...
No, I mean, like, I'm not trying... it's so weird. I've come into this, and I seem to be the voice of dissent and the one that, like, isn't enjoying them, just from our conversation so far. But no, I mean, I really like these movies. They're fun movies, and like I said, I've never gotten into the comics just because it's not my thing.
Well, I mean, what's surprising about that is simply that HellBoy is the character that makes people who despise occult stuff read HellBoy.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen someone with your specific taste who, after watching HellBoy, isn't at least curious about how good the comics are.
Like, the only thing that makes me really want to go into the comics is the fact that we're not getting a third movie. Because I want to know how the whole he will destroy the world thing plays out.
Well, I mean, the comics, the film was designed, so it'd be very different from the comics anyway, so you probably wouldn't get that.
Yeah, I figured about as much.
Yeah, because Mike Mignola...
I don't know, maybe they'll do, like, an animated movie to settle it all out or something.
No,
that would totally be great.
I'm sure, like, we're gonna have something, like, later on, a few years on, with, like, HellBoy is an old man, and he has kids now.
It's not gonna happen. Didn't they do, like, a Kickstarter or something to try to get a third movie going, and they couldn't even get that to finish?
They didn't, but evidently what happened is that both HellBoy movies just barely broke even and were big on DVDs, so no studio wants to give them the cash to greenlight another one. So Guillermo del Toro and Mark Mignola just came out and said, well, if we did get a third movie, here's everything we would have done with it.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can always go up and read that, but I don't know, it's just not as satisfying.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting though? You mentioned this before, like the people who don't like the occult stuff like HellBoy is because he just goes about it in such a blue collar way. He just doesn't give a shit. He just like you know, weirdly enough, HellBoy and fairy tale logic really kind of go hand in hand, because especially in Russian fairy tales or in fairy tales in general, there's just some like borderline retarded shit going on. It's like somebody describing you an acid trip. Like, okay, go out into the misty mountain and get me the eye of a blind witch that hides the bones of small children under her bed. And HellBoy's like, okay, whatever. Because he just does it and just like he just goes with all that crazy shit that you read in fairy tales. Like, okay, I have to get the golden...
this shit again, goddammit.
No, he's not angry about it. He's just like... He goes like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Just point me to the glowy thing.
What do I...
Yeah.
Oh, there's a hilarious comic of HellBoy where he's in this castle and he's trying to find something. And then he finds it, and he's talking to this doctor, and he says, okay, we need to wait here. And she's like, why? And he says, because any moment now there is going to be a monster, and I have to punch it. And then the monster shows up, and he punches it.
And that's so
and he's
awesome,
like, okay, now we can go.
Now we can go. And funnily enough, like, the design of HellBoy is kind of strange, because, like... It's kind of, I like that kind of weird off-kilter thing, because, like, one of his hands is, like, literally a giant stone thing. And, of course, there's a lot of Jack Kirby influences with that kind of whole, like, from some of the interviews I've read and listened to with Mike Mignola, what he really wanted to get across is that kind of, he loved the old Jack Kirby Thor comics, and Thor's hammer Mjolnir would just smash the fuck out of people. And he's like, I want that, but for Hellboy he wanted that. Then he's just like, how about I just don't give him a hammer or a mace or something, and I just make the mace his hand. And I'm like, that's kind of genius as a design thing. You know?
I don't like the hand.
What? Really? Why not?
What?
I don't know. It's just your eyes always go to it when it's on screen, and I just find it distracting.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, like, well, basically Guillermo del Toro and Mike Mignola both get their influences from people like Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe. And the genius about giving Hellboy one arm that's just completely asymmetric to everything about his body is that both the films and the comics are all about anti-structuralism. And just basically that idea of fitting things into a particular framework is what hinders people's thinking and what hinders people's knowledge. So
definitely.
Yeah, so just adding that in there visually so obviously, I think is genius.
I know, and you know what's funny about...
I guess I can get where you're coming from with that, but I just don't like it. I think not only is it distracting, but I just don't think it looks cool or anything. It's just a big rock hand, and it makes some of the CG really awkward because it doesn't bend like a rock would.
Anyway,
I don't know, man. I don't even kind of agree with that.
Me neither. I think it looks fucking awesome.
All right. Let me go from my specific example where I first realized why it was bothering me so much. So there's that scene in the first movie where the fucking Agent Myers walks away, I think is when it happened. And Hellboy's sitting there and he's drinking a beer or something. And it cuts to a shot of him crushing a can with his rock hand, and it looks so fake. You can tell immediately it's CG, and the hand bending anyway doesn't bend like stone would. It doesn't look like it has specific joints bending. It's bending the way a CG hand does, where there's too much vertices moving. So I thought it looked awful, and then I couldn't stop paying attention to it to see when it was fake and when it was a prop. And then when it's a prop, I'm like, how the hell does he get a shirt on? And I don't know, it just everything about the hand just was like, I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, funny, I see more and more, like you said, like Hellboy, just isn't your thing, because I don't know, like I just think the idea of the hand and the way the hand's executed and just the way it looks on the character is genius.
Oh, definitely, because you have the whole head dynamic with these shaved horns to like...
Yeah, how he's constantly has to shave him every morning that reminds him of what he should be and what he's going to be eventually.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case. I think that's what people read into it. I think it just finds them annoying. It's like, I already got this big fucking hand lugging around. I can't deal with these big fucking horns. I had them as a kid, and it's just like, I couldn't get a goddamn shirt on, so I just said fuck it and started shaving them down. And like, I love like
now because they clearly say that he does it to fit in.
Well, in the movies, but like that's what I think also in the comics at least. But like, if weirdly enough, there's a distinct. Well, Steve, you you mentioned this kind of anti-structuralism in the comics, and I agree with that because I recently listened to this interview with Mike Mignola, and he basically said we just made shit up. Like in the early comics, we just did what Lovecraft did and just reference like weird, creepy sounding shit that we never thought we'd use again. And later along the line, years later, they kind of looked back and said, oh, well, we referenced like this and that, and he had this throwaway character and that throwaway character, and they kind of tied it all together, and it seems like the comics seem like they're super fucking planned out. Like they literally managed to reference everything that they've, like every throwaway motherfucking thing they managed to put in there. And it seems so perfect, but it isn't because they just literally pulled shit out of their ass. And they kind of referenced like this non-existent mythology, and did kind of bring in like real world, like folklore and shit, but kind of also managed to play around with it, like with Baba Yaga. They just said like, oh, she counts the fingers of dead man's hands when they bust them out of the ground like Dawn of the Dead style. That's what the fuck? That's not in part of the folklore, but it just sounds cool. So they said, fuck it, let's do it. It'll make her sound creepier.
Yes, the cannibalistic witch. Let's make that sound scary.
Oh, definitely.
Milan did a reading a couple months back of Baba Yaga, or not reading, but telling, and there's this one moment where it totally, like, breaks, but it's hilarious, because, like, this evil stepmother tells the girl that she has to go to Baba Yaga and get a undying flame skull, and she's like, "Are you serious?" "Yes, but she's a cannibal." It's just like the most like break of the entire like flow of the narrative, because you're really getting into it. It's like, are you serious? Like, it just totally becomes 20th century in like 2 seconds.
Well, I mean, it is like she will eat me. Like,
bitch, you crazy?
Exactly.
just want to throw that in there.
Thanks for the free plug, man. I appreciate that. Fucking people have been, people enjoy those fucking videos. I'm glad. But
no, I just like that's interesting that they see. That's the thing, is Milan's this like gigantic Lovecraft fan, and you know, I think that's why he loves this as much as he does.
Oh, definitely. I'm a huge folklore guy. Like, for a while there, I wanted to become a folklore anthropologist. Because just, like, some of the, like...
Because someone will pay you for that.
Oh, definitely. Because, like, the whole idea of just... Like, the thing with folklore is, like, modern-day monsters, they don't... Like, the West just wants to categorize shit. And they do it with monsters, and they kind of take away the weird, like, unknowable mystery of the monster, because, like, you know how to kill a vampire. You know what a vampire is. There are very specific details. You can have these types of vampires and those types of vampires, and, you know, you don't really kind of have any...
Okay, anyway. Yeah, I do see that tendency to categorize monsters here. I think it's interesting, though, that we've moved farther and farther away for years and years from, like, the traditional, you know, horror movie monster. But now we're moving back. Like, there's been this explosion over the last couple of years, starting with the vampire phenomenon, of, like, the supernatural monster again. And then we have 20,000 zombie movies every year.
Yeah, we've also got Walking Dead, which is making waves, even though it's terrible.
Yeah, isn't there like this boy with a hat that just wants to be eaten by zombies?
Yeah,
like
I watched that show for 4 seasons. It's terrible.
See, I've read the book like a little bit until the samurai black girl got raped, and I'm like, fuck you. You don't do that. I want to... Nope, fuck you. You don't do that. And I just dropped the book. Because you don't rape a black girl in my comics and expect me to keep reading. Anyway,
Oh, but if it were a white girl, that'd be
definitely.
Perfectly okay.
Well, no, I'd be sad, but I'll still keep reading. I'm like, oh, that's too bad. Oh, cool, let's see what happens
God
next.
forbid a character that people like have something awful happen to them.
Oh, definitely.
Lon, I have some advice for you. Never, ever, ever, ever watch Game of Thrones.
Well, I enjoy Game of Thrones because, you know, well, it's historically accurate. We'll chop a man. Yeah.
It's not history, Milan.
Well, shut up! Don't trample my dreams. Dragons exist.
Well, speaking of these monsters, have you guys heard that Universal Monsters are now getting their own new, like, giant canon film series?
Oh, really? They're going for it?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting how that goes.
Yeah, and
like vampires and Dracula and all that.
It's gonna sound crazy since I just was talking about how I'm not into all the like occult and stuff as big as you two are, obviously.
Well, see, that's the weird thing because I'm not at all, but there's just certain things that I find fascinating.
Okay. Well, see, I almost wanted Bill to be here for this, but he's still doing stuff from G-Fest. But like the one movie that has all the occult shit in it that I really liked was Van Helsing.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it's bad, but I still enjoyed it.
I like it because it's just actually fun.
If you're doing all the monsters again, I'm gonna be like, oh, it'd be cool to get a like new, better Van Helsing that.
Oh, we already are.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're getting a new Van Helsing movie, and this time it will most likely not be Hugh Jackman in Power Rangers.
Oh, come on. I love Van Helsing. Me and little brother just watched it over and over again on the fucking DVD. Because it's fun. It's like fucking werewolves and giant. It had an actual set. It wasn't all fucking green screen.
Bullshit, there was so much fucking green screen in that
No,
movie.
but it was fun green screen.
Well, the new one is apparently going to be part of that shared Universal Monster Universe, and Tom Cruise is going to star.
No.
And Ortsy and Kurtzman are there, so...
See, it's gonna be weird, because, I mean, maybe that'll be okay, because Tom Cruise actually believes in all that shit, so...
No,
But he can't
Tom
act,
Cruise?
you know?
No, it's not that he can't act, it's just he's...
No, I just flat out think he cannot act. I think he's a horrible actor.
Well, he for not human, I think he managed to convince enough humans that he is a human himself, because you watch any of his movies, and that motherfucker has no chemistry with nothing. He's like, hey, I'm Tom Cruise. I'm like, of course you are.
I wonder how he breathes, because he really doesn't have chemistry with the air either, and it's just awkward when he's by himself.
He doesn't breathe. He doesn't breathe.
Well,
I thought you said read for a second, and I was like, oh, this is gonna get weird.
Oh, yeah.
well, I guess the circle back to Hellboy. I did meet Mike Mignola once.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went to this...
I want to... Oh my god. Just keep talking.
I went to a comic convention in Charlotte back in 2008, I think. And because we bought the special passes, we got an exclusive signed Mike Mignola poster. And I got 3 of them now, all from that convention. And I got a chance to meet him. He signed 10 Hellboy trades, and I got to ask him a few questions about where the ideas and stuff came from. And he's kind of exactly what you said, Milan, about just making stuff up. But then he also mentions how sometimes it's not even really about making stuff up as much as it's just what would be really fun to draw, and what's something that visually that you haven't seen yet. Because he's just such an experimental artist.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of his story ideas just come from editors or his daughter or just family, and they just say weird things or have weird clothing or something, and he just turns it into a monster. And then he finds something in history that's similar, and he gives you a little briefing about it in the trades, so you know where the idea came from. But
Definitely.
most of it's just him drawing on influences right there and there.
Yeah, I know. I love that. In the trades, you have those little, messages from him. In one story, it was a story about Hercules or whatever, and it was Hellboy fights the lion, and it was a jacket or something, and the jacket turned into a lion, or he fights the Hydra, and he says he just watched the Hercules movie with his daughter and whatever, and she's like, I want a jacket made from that coat, from the lion's coat, and he's like, I'm gonna write a Hellboy story about that, and he just kind of does that type of stuff. But before I forget, with monsters, with the kind of overclassification of monsters in Western culture, you gotta have to put all the monsters in little boxes to understand them. And when you fully understand how the monsters work, they're no longer scary. They're oh, I have to do this, this, and this to kill the monster. I guess in more Eastern, monster fare, they just make shit up. The monster's a little bit more shadowy. There's no it's not set in stone what they can do. It's almost why can't a vampire be also a wizard and can with Dracula? If you read the Dracula book, that's where that whole kind of categorizing the monster came from. Let's just set rules for these fucking things. And I'm if you set rules for the monster, they're no longer scary. But with Hellboy, it's just kind of it takes all of that mythos, all of that folklore, all that weird kind of insane shit that they don't put into movies because it's just kind of random, and they just throw it in there. And Hellboy's okay, I'll just punch it in the face, but if that doesn't work, I'll rub some clover on it and hope that the iron burns its skin or whatever. It's just so blue collar, and that's one of the things I really miss from the movies, because in the comics, BPRD, they all wear fucking jumpsuits. In the comics, what really kind of I associated with is the day watch night, well, mostly the night watch from the movies, the Russian day watch, because they all wear jumpsuits and they're all kind of blue collar, plumbers. or electricians or whatever. But in the movie, they're all kind of like black suits and FBI looking, while Hellboy is like in, blue collar stuff. Like, I want more of that kind of blue collar element for the BPRD movie universe. But what they had was all right. Like, if you wore some fucking jumpsuits and some actual kind of material that isn't fucking meant for, don't wear suits when you're going up against monsters. goddammit.
No, that's exactly when you have to wear a suit, because you gotta look classy at all times, man.
Oh, yeah,
I know.
Of course. You can just choke them with your tie.
Exactly.
Those things are deadly, man. I hate ties.
I'm trying to remember what the movie was, but, like, there's this scene in this, like, spy espionage kind of movie that's also a murder mystery, where they talk about how this guy that they have in jail is what they call the brain of the CIA. And he wasn't a spy. It was his job to think of ways to, like, kill spies or, high-level targets. There's this one guy that they were trying to kill for months, and they couldn't do it. So he has them put a special little wire on the inside of the seam of a tie. And he makes sure that the guy buys that tie and gets it in his house and everything. And a couple days later, his wife comes in and sees the dude on the floor choked to death by the tie. Because, like, as soon as he, like, put enough tension into it, the wire kept tightening on its own, and it strangled him to death. I thought that was so brilliant.
That's really fascinating and kind of ingenious.
The CIA is weird enough, because if you read all the stories of how they fucking tried to kill, what's his name?
Castro.
It's just so fucking random and incompetent. they're like, oh, he likes to scuba dive. Let's just put a really pretty shell and put some fucking TNT in there and hope that he kinda swims down close enough and then we can blow it up. Just fucking shoot the motherfucker. Just put a sniper at a window.
Well,
they tried.
They once pumped LSD into a room that he was about to give a television address on. Castro and Hitler have survived Castro and Hitler had survived tons of assassination attempts. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
The number of times Hitler survived an assassination attempt makes me honestly believe that time travelers are real. Because, I was listening to some scientists, and I think scientists just get to make shit up at certain points, but...
Oh, definitely.
Someone was like, oh, actually, if you were to go back in time and try to, like, kill your grandfather or something to make it so you couldn't go back in time, Looney Tunes physics would come into play before you were able to do that. Like, the gun would explode in your hand before the universe would let you kill your grandfather. And I'm like, that makes so much more sense if you go with Hitler there. All these assassination attempts, and they go wrong in so many different ways.
Oh my god. I've just figured, oh my god, that makes so much sense. Oh my god. I'm gonna try that out.
I did love the line in the first movie where he was like, and then in 1948, Hitler died, ending the paranormal wars. Sir, don't you mean 45? Hitler died in 45. Oh, did he?
Yeah, I love how much they play up that alternate history, and they really try not to hammer you over the head with it, but it's definitely part of their culture in that world, which is fascinating.
Oh, yeah. The one, there's so many little tidbits, because as they walk through the BPRD Hellboy in a room, you see, dead fairies in jars, and you see Roger. Yeah. You see Roger in a case, the homunculus Roger. I'm like...
What?
Well, nigga, please. Roger.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The character from the comic books that I don't fucking read. I'm sorry I don't know who he is.
Stevie, the Roger, I'm like, why did they have him in the films? They had the suit. Have Roger.
Well, I mean, like I said before, they were trying to be different, and Mike Mignola wanted them to be very different from the books anyway, so...
definitely. But, Guillermo del Toro, only he could make those movies. Because I'm just like...
Oh, yeah.
If I could sustain myself on that man's brain matter, I would. But then I would have to I could never hurt that man. I would just bask in his glorious whimsy.
That's so strange.
Oh, really?
I mean, physical capabilities of CGI and monster making aside, he's got some very fascinating ideas, and he has some of the best monster designs ever made, even if you don't get to see them for very long. In Hellboy 2, when you see that giant tree monster thing, that's a fantastic design.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and the
I really
troll
like that.
market.
It reminded me a lot of Pacific Rim.
Oh, yeah. He made Pacific Rim.
I know, that's why I said it reminded me of that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, in Pacific Rim, just the designs of the kaiju and the designs of the Jaegers and just the whole mythology behind that world.
Yeah, fucking Guillermo really knows how to build a fucking world. We don't get that in movies nowadays. It's just here's a bland thing, and another bland thing, and a bland thing, and a bland thing.
There's way too much stuff set, in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
In the not distant future.
Yeah.
I was hoping someone would start singing, but no one started to sing, so I started to sing.
It's okay.
I was thinking it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, next time sing it.
There should be MST3K versions of Hellboy, but that's a different conversation.
What's a what?
Milan doesn't know what he's talking
No,
about.
that's why I'm asking. What the hell are you guys talking about?
You don't.
We're talking about Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, right, that thing with the robots.
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
It's the robots making fun of the robot. It's robots and a man in a spaceship making fun of old bad movies.
I saw a picture that cracked me the hell up, where the puppet guys from Muppets that are on the balcony that always mock shit are on the theater screen, and you have the MST3K guys at the bottom, and then underneath the picture there was an infinity symbol.
Oh yes.
Thought it was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
All right. Anyway, Guillermo del Toro, yeah, he does such great world building. I will agree with you, and I mean, like I said, I've been sounding so negative in this video so far, but no, I really like these movies. Like, when they go to the fucking troll market, that's awesome.
Yes.
I mean, it really is. It's the cantina scene from episode 4 on a modern budget. And that's...
Yeah.
I love that kind of shit.
Guillermo del Toro, he managed to butt-fuck Star Wars with quality.
Fuck you, shut up.
No,
Guillermo del Toro wouldn't fucking exist without Star Wars.
I know, but he topped it. Is that you're gonna have monsters and...
He didn't top it. He came around 30 years later and had millions of dollars on hand.
Yeah.
Jackass.
Even that, I'm not sure if he topped Star Wars, because Hellboy is good, but Star Wars?
One doesn't like Star Wars, so he always has to try to, kick it down because he's a fucking hipster.
I'm not a hipster.
Well... Well, anyway, and even the characters that you have Liz and Abe Sapien, and then Seth MacFarlane's character, who I hate Seth MacFarlane, but Johan Kraus is awesome.
He is amazing.
I didn't realize that was him. That's funny.
Yeah, it is, and it's, I don't know, something about the way he puts off his voice, you just can't tell. But I love his character. I love that scene where Hellboy breaks his faceplate thing, and he starts hitting him with lockers.
That was really fucking funny.
It was.
I don't know why he didn't move, but it was still hilarious.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a good character scene, too, but then just getting hit in the face with a locker door. And he's holding a beer in his hand that he's trying to drink.
Yeah, it's like, damn. The thing, I've been, a long time ago, I watched this review series on YouTube called Steampunk Reviews, and the girl basically, she brought up this one criticism, that there isn't a lot of character development in the Hellboy stories, at least the early ones in the first couple of trades. I mean, you have a little bit of it, but it's mostly like an action mythology kind of world thing book.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
She wanted more character interactions, and that's where I went for BPRD. It's a kind of a shoot-off book from Hellboy, and Johan Kraus is one of the main cast, and I'm like, Johan Kraus is gonna be in Hellboy too, and I'm like, yes. Hold on, why isn't he a blow-up marshmallow plastic man? Why is he? Oh, okay, I get it. It's cool. And I'm like, yes, Johann Kraus. They're gonna do like BPRD. Why didn't they bring up the man with the? It's been a while since I read any BPRD, but I love BPRD so much. It's joy.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking
Oh,
about.
that's how most things.
You so fucking lost me.
Dude.
Well, BPRD
like,
is just a spin-off comic series of Hellboy, and it's just...
No, I got that. It's just like he keeps like mentioning things, getting about halfway through describing them, and then mentions a different thing, and
That's
I have
how
no idea
I feel when you and Bill talk about Doctor Who.
Well, good.
Well, Doctor Who is just that kind of animal where you can't talk about one thing without talking about like 6 others.
Because time travel, bitch.
But
Yeah.
You, however, are just talking about a million things because you're schizophrenic, asshole.
Whoa, okay, that's cool. Sure. Well, I didn't realize we're gonna go that direction, but okay, fine. I'm gonna look. I guess we got a badass over here.
Shut the fuck up. You can't quote memes.
Well,
What's a meme?
Especially not black person memes.
should we maybe address some criticisms with the movies while we're here?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, you guys have heard my biggest one is I don't fucking like the Hand. Which is a pretty minor criticism overall.
I mean, I still think there's like some legitimate issues with the first one, but nothing like that ruins it whatsoever.
Go ahead. Shoot yourself.
For one, Rupert Evans. I hate him as John Myers. I just think he gave nothing to that performance whatsoever. And the function of his character to be a love triangle for the sake of it really bothers me.
I guess they wanted...
Which is weird, because he's at no point a love triangle. Like, he has no interest in Liz whatsoever.
Yeah, but I mean, it's there anyway. Like, both of them are there on a date, and Hellboy's jealous just because. And it's, I don't know, I just don't feel like it gels with the rest of the film, especially considering those two's chemistry.
Well, the thing with that is basically what, like, on the commentary track, they basically said they needed something, since the world is so weird, they needed like a, hey, explain it to this guy thing. They needed like an audience entry point into the film, because like, what the fuck is this? Why is...
Yeah, but still, here's the thing about that. The guy's just so nonchalant about the majority of it.
Yeah, like, and if you needed a character who's gonna be nonchalant, just make Hellboy the main character like he's supposed to be, and you can still have a window to that world.
Yeah, well...
No, it's just like, if you need someone that needs something to be explained to them all the time, that's fine, but this guy... He's just so cool with it. He just rolls with it, and that's not what that character... That if you need a character to serve that function, that's not what the kind of guy that you should have.
It's very much like a bad ripoff of Oz from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Sure.
Okay. But like I love Abe Sapien, but like in the comics, like he's a bit more of a badass actually. Like Abe in the books is just like fuck it, I'm gonna shoot a motherfucker in the face repeatedly. Oh, I'm gonna get burned by a monkey prince. Fuck that shit. Or a fat man that has a torso of a crocodile. No way, I'm Abe Sapien, bitch. In the movies, it's a bit more of a, oh hello, I'm Abe Sapien. Look at my fingers twirl. Like it's such amazing makeup, and the performance of that guy that does the body movements is amazing. I'm like,
see, I'm curious. I could have sworn in the first movie that it was David Hyde Pierce doing the voice. It sounded so much like him, it was driving me crazy. But I looked it up and it's not. It's Doug Jones.
Well, no, Doug Jones just does the body work. David Hyde Pierce actually does the voice. But he's not credited.
Okay, he did. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, because I was like, no, that has to be David Hyde Pierce. That has to be him. I know Frasier's brother when I hear him.
Yeah, it is absolutely him. It's just he didn't get credit for it, apparently.
Oh.
That sucked, because he was awesome.
Yeah.
But like, I love that whole hoity-toity thing. It's so great. It's like, I'm Sapien. Yeah.
Okay, so besides the Myers character, what else have you got, Steve?
Liz, I don't like very much.
I like her. She has like the whole, disaffected goth girl thing going on. Like,
yeah,
hey, I'm pregnant. No, I'm not.
I mean, like, that's all she is, though. She's a little bit like Pierce, but too much in the other direction, where she's seen so much that she doesn't care about anything. And ultimately, that makes her hard to get invested in. And I don't really see what Hellboy sees in her.
I like
Yeah.
weirdly enough, when I got into the comics before I watched the first movie, but I'm like, hold on. In the comics, he met her when she was like a little kid. I'm trying to.
No, I don't care.
Just fuck up, Mickey. Put some pants on.
I'm trying, man.
Anyway.
I'm so late to sleep loudly on his bed because that's how loud you are.
Okay, anyway.
I think the neighbors are knocking from upstairs to shut you up.
No, they're not. They're building
People are
something.
doing bang, bang, bang.
Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Fuck. Where was I?
You don't have to take that abuse, Milan. There are numbers you can call.
Anyway.
You were talking about what you liked about Liz.
No, Myers. Basically,
No, we're talking about Liz.
oh yeah, that's right. Like in the comics, he met Liz when she was a little kid, and she, he was already grown. It's like, and there's a really sweet scene in the comics where basically Liz is kept in this fireproof room, and she's only the guys in fire suits are bringing in her food, and they're all scared of her. And Hellboy says fuck this shit. He walks in, gives her a lollipop, and takes her out of there. And that's real sweet. And he was an adult then, and he does the same with Abe. He just kind of treats the the weirdos like normal people. And when I first hold on, what is he? How is he with her? He knew her when she was a kid. What the fuck?
Oh.
But I guess they explained it Hellboy reverse dog years, so he's barely out of his 20s. But still, dude. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I don't really care for Liz one way or the other. She's got a couple moments that I like her more. The one scene where she really does deliver though is when she decides to let Hellboy live, or to keep Hellboy alive, even though she knows for a fact he'll destroy the world. That scene really did well.
Yeah.
For me, that was a really good scene, and she just that she doesn't She pauses, but she doesn't hesitate, which is weird. Because those two don't line up. But she has a pause, but you can tell she doesn't even kind of think about it. Which I thought was fascinating.
One little thing with Liz is in the first movie when she's basically when she starts to get the fiery hand in the bottom of that pit with all those scary monster thingamabobs, and Hellboy's getting eaten. Basically, and she looks at Myers and says you should be running. That's actually a thing they left in because he was supposed to be running away. But she's you should be running. I was oh, that's right. And they just a mistake they left in because it worked so good.
Oh, that's funny. And then they brought it back in the second movie.
No. They actually said you had Myers transferred to Antarctica, and Hell was he mentioned he liked the cold. I'm at first I was kind of sad about it, oh, Myers, he's gone. Oh, whatever.
No, I was talking about in the second movie. They actually have the line, "You should be running," to the agents again, so that's funny. Alright, so the other thing with Liz, real quick, before we move on, they're so inconsistent with how her powers work. For one, I don't like the change from blue fire to orange fire between the first and the second movie. That bugs me. Just because it's such a glaring inconsistency if you watch them back to back.
Very true.
But also, the one that I don't know why this bugged me as much as it did, but it's still it's just because it doesn't make any sense. And I know it's a movie about magic and fucking demons and Nazis with sand for blood. I get that, but it still bugged the shit out of me. Why don't her clothes catch on fire?
It's, I don't know, it's asbestos, some sort of.
Dude, get that.
I assume that's just the whole shapeshifter logic of, are their clothes shapeshifting too?
Well, with Mystique, she's naked, and in Fantastic Four, Johnny goes, flame on, and his clothes are gone. They even, make a funny joke about it in the second one, which is probably about the only good part of that movie.
Of that franchise.
Well, the Silver Surfer is fucking brilliant. I don't care what anybody says. When he's fucking chasing Johnny Storm through the thing, and that's brilliant. And Michael Chiklis is the thing. It's Michael Chiklis is the thing. What are you gonna do?
Okay, anyway, this isn't a review of the Fantastic Four movies, though that might be on the list at some point in the future.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to watch those though, because those are really bad.
Anyway,
I love this.
I don't know, it so irked me that her clothes didn't catch on fire. And I know everyone's like, oh, you're just a guy, you just wanted to see her naked. No, because I don't really find her that attractive. I just thought it was annoying, because I'm just sitting there like, why aren't her clothes catching on fire? If her whole thing is, everything she touches burns, the f***ing clothes should burn. I've got an idea, honey. Wear gloves.
Well, and that's funny because they also make it a point that Hellboy in the films is fireproof and he's not in the comics. So if you're going to leave that level of detail then why not address her clothes at some point?
Yeah, and, like, it's weird because you see that, like, when they fight or when she got, like, pissed at him or whatever in the second one, you clearly see that his clothes were on fire because of her. And it's just so
It is a little bit strange.
One little thing about Hellboy in the modern comics, spoiler warning, he's in hell now. And basically he does some pretty fucked up stuff. He kills his brothers. Like, he doesn't want to, but they kind of start some shit and he kind of beheads them. And he's like, oh, fuck, I killed my brothers. Or he does some other fucked up shit. And basically he meets this oracle or whatever in hell, and she's like, what am I gonna do? And the oracle said, like, you know, there are doors in your head that you should just always keep closed and never think about. Do that. Just don't think about it. Ever. Again. Ever. And, like...
Okay, what did that have to do with anything we just said?
That's what I do. I'm like, oh, me and Hellboy repress memories that hurt us. Yay.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
Steve, what else you got?
As far as criticisms, I think that's really about it. Because they are really good movies.
Okay, then I'll go with mine. I am always a big proponent of blending CGI and practical effects. And in the second one, Del Toro does it really well. It does not work in the first one very well. There are some very glaring changes from shot to shot, particularly when Hellboy's fighting things. You cannot tell me that it's convincing.
Do you have that mostly with that subway fight?
The subway fight and with the tentacle monster fight.
Okay, because I can understand everyone's complaint with the tentacle monster at the end, because that's just really hard to do. But the subway fight, I think, is where it stands out the most, because that's something that could have been avoided, I think. Because they drag that fight out a lot.
Back and forth. They keep switching back and forth. And I'm just like, no, you need to really choose one or the other for doing a fight scene like this. And only go to CG when you're doing really big, distant things. I mentioned that when he crushes the can, it's just so glaring, takes it right out. And, you know, it's early 2000 CGI, so there's only so much that they could have done, but still, it's like, it's really glaring sometimes.
It feels so weird, like, fucking technology just moves so quickly right now. I'm like, early 2000s CGI, oh, how quaint. I'm like, that is...
Well, like, it's been 10 years since that movie came out.
That is so weird. I'm like, I'm not gonna go like, oh, we're old. We're not fucking old. We're young. We're fucking kids still, according to some cultures. But I'm like, fucking hell, time passes, guys. Time passes. It exists.
No, I'm just trying to think. You know, there's a lot of really glaring things with the CG, and I just wish that they'd found other ways around it, or, you know, done all practical or all CG. Because I don't care if you do all CG, because at least I can accept it then. But when you try to blend them, and one is clearly less up to par, it's a problem.
And I can totally see where you're coming from that, but at the same time, when you're in 2004 and you're watching the movie, I can see how people wouldn't notice it, and why he thinks it's the best he could have done at that time.
I will agree with that, because from what I remember, I do not remember, like, noticing the CG back then.
Yeah, I mean, like...
But to be fair, I had that with the first Spider-Man movie, too.
Yeah,
and, like,
that's a really bad CGI stuff in there.
They're
but
not
like,
bad.
I just mean like, it's not like Del Toro was lazy with any of it, at least.
Oh, I agree.
No.
The CG just doesn't hold up very well, which is a problem.
It's not Jurassic Park, basically.
Yeah. No, I really like the rest of the movie. My biggest problem is the CG. You know, I don't like the hand. I just aesthetically, and it's just distracting and gets me out of the movie. As cool as the character is, I still don't understand the Nazi assassin guy.
Fucking what? He's awesome. He's a Nazi with knives and a gas mask. What more do you want?
Well, no, I just don't understand. Like, why does he need like a clock in his chest?
Why doesn't he? Whoa! Why doesn't he need a clock in his chest? I want a clock in my chest, bitch. Everyone.
I don't know what that thing does, and why does he have sand? Do the Nazis not know about blood transfusion?
No.
Well, maybe he has blood in there. It just turned to sand after decades.
That's what they said, but like, why wouldn't you just get more blood?
Because it's ancient steampunk technology.
Yeah, it's evil, and like, he's a terrible, scary zombie Nazi man. What? Like, see, that's what I'm talking about. You need everything to be explained. It's a scary man that likes to cut himself. That's also a Nazi. Explained. And he has blood.
Actually, no. Here's the thing. When they're not explaining it, I like it. As soon as he does the autopsy is when it falls apart.
I can agree with
that.
Yeah, you shouldn't try to inject logic into something that you're not going to inject logic into everything.
When you're, like, it's that they try to explain it, and the explanation doesn't make any sense, that it bothers me. Because, like, they do the whole clock in the chest thing, and if you never explain it, I've been like, okay, that's just, I would have thought of it in my head, that's just how he's able to do this stuff. But then they show that you can take the thing out, and it doesn't seem to affect whether or not he can walk around. And I'm like, what's the point of that thing, then? They're just there to look cool? And be intimidating as shit as he's about to kill you?
Yes!
What?
Yes! That's what most things are. Why does Darth Vader have all those fucking buttons on his belt? Or on his chest?
Because he's a fucking burn victim that needs
What does those buttons do? What purpose those buttons do? Are these little fucking gauges? What the fuck?
They control his breathing apparatus.
Does he ever touch them? Ever? In all those movies? Does he ever like, oh, I'm just gonna attach a little...
I
there
think
we
so.
go.
I think he does press it.
He doesn't press anything. They're just there to look cool and intimidating.
Milan's like, don't you contradict my opinions with your facts.
Yeah, that's called bullying on the internet. Shut up. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Right,
well, do we have any other problems we want to address with those films?
Well, hold on. I'm gonna make Milan acknowledge a problem, because this is what he always fucking does. He picks a franchise that he likes, and then he will never say anything negative about it, ever. He's just amazed. He's like, it's gold. It is solid gold. Every single little piece of it is solid gold. So I'm gonna make Milan point out a legitimate problem with the films now.
Let's see. I don't see this as a problem myself. I used to as a while ago, like a few years ago. People say like, oh, HellBoy doesn't punch, like, he only punches one type of monster in the entire movie in the first one. But I'm like, yeah, but they're, like, I used to believe that, but I'm like, I look back at it now, I'm like, they're awesome tentacly Cthulhu spawn things. He can punch as many of those motherfucking things as he wants. Motherfucker.
Oh, so you're just saying that there's not enough variety of monsters in the first one?
Well, that's what I used to think.
Criticism?
That's what I used to think, but now I'm like, no, it's perfect gold. And like, it's pure leprechaun gold. It is completely and utterly without flaw. Yes. Shove it up your ass, Ian. Everything that I like is perfect.
Well, how about in the second one with the twins, and how their connection is a little bit stereotypical? Like, when I saw them, that's kind of the first thing I thought it was going to be.
Well, like, my thing was, so Hellboy goes to fight the prince, and Abe's all like, you can't hurt the prince. Why not? Because it'll hurt the princess. Why wasn't one of the agents just like, oh, cool, I got a tranq gun, and just shoot the princess?
That's a good idea.
Problem solved.
That was a good question.
Yeah. But does that work? Like, sure,
Apparently, her stabbing herself in the heart killed the guy, so why wouldn't tranking her work? Or just knocking her on the head really hard?
Fucked up?
Compass.
You know what's fucked up that I've noticed about that film when I watched it last night? Like, when he takes her away, he gets, and when they're alone and he starts talking to her, he's like, hey, how you doing? And he starts touching her face in a weird, like, she's like, dude, don't fucking do that. And she's like, how you doing? I missed you. Like, that's kind of fucked up, because, like, did you fucking sex your sister, dude? No. Fucking elves, bro. Fucking elves. Can't trust them, fucking bastards. Untrustworthy, incestuous cunts, a lot of them.
I'm just saying, like, that is probably the biggest plot hole in the movie, though. Is just like, oh, you can't hurt the prince because it'll hurt the princess. Oh, I've got an idea, guys. Clunk!
Although, with that said, the prince is a pretty good foil for Hellboy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I don't like...
The fight scenes
There are two scenes...
I like their fight scenes.
The fight scenes are cool.
Yeah.
The fight scenes are cool, but I don't like when Hellboy's about to shoot the monster, and the prince is just randomly there to explain for the audience everything that is inherently obvious if you're watching the scene. And then he does it again later in the movie, and I'm like, yeah, we don't need this.
Well, I guess the modern, I guess the American audience is like, what's going on? The pictures are telling me things, but my brain ain't working. I need an elf man with scars on his face to whisper the obvious to me from a rooftop. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Elfman. I just, like...
and furthermore, why send apparently the last of its kind plant monster after Hellboy?
Because he's a douche.
When you're confident.
Well, I mean, that was on purpose.
Yeah.
But
he's confident he could kick Hellboy's ass himself.
Well, I mean, what he really wants, because him and Hellboy are... Well, him and Hellboy are characters that could join forces, and that's kind of what makes them so interesting. So to send that monster after Hellboy is just another way to tempt him, because he knows Hellboy is weak to a certain degree, and him killing the monster kind of proves him wrong. So I can see him using it to manipulate Hellboy, and it doesn't work in his favor.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because, I mean,
I just thought
one thing the film was missing is just more of an effort on his part to try and convert Hellboy to his side. Because to a certain extent, he's right, because the humans did go back on their deal, and Hellboy, especially at the end of the film when he's no longer working with BPRD, he could have very easily just joined forces with him.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
See, I thought it would have been interesting if we did get a third movie for Hellboy to keep the Golden Crown, and that's how he inadvertently is going to destroy the world or whatever. Like, if he'd like kept it as part of the BPRD, archive of like important objects and stuff, and when he did, make the official turn or whatever it is, if he'd taken that, I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think he kind of like the whole open up portal to something or other. Like, I don't know, like the whole fantasy stuff. I love it in the books because it's always like, Hellboy, you're gonna do this. Nope. Oh, Jesus. I shouldn't have eaten those fucking alien parasites. Anyway.
I want to really quickly...
Face rape,
I want to really quickly mention the music in the second movie, because it's done by Danny Elfman, and it's the first time Danny Elfman doesn't sound like Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
Like, it's not Tim Burton Batman. It's actually
a
different score.
Well, I think that's because Tim Burton wasn't attached.
That's true, but like I don't think I've ever heard anything by Danny Elfman that didn't sound the same except for that film.
Yeah, because Danny Elfman is always like, la 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 over and over again.
College Humor a couple years ago did a great video in which Tim Burton and his production crew had a meeting and they were going to do another movie, and Tim Burton's like, okay, Danny Elfman, get me a score, and he's just fucking playing on his phone. He goes, what about like la 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 da 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 la 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 da da, and Burton's like, yes, genius. Now get me those buckets of white makeup and call Johnny Depp and my wife. We got him on speed dial, sir.
I think I did see that video.
College Humor dropped in quality, but man, they had some good stuff.
Oh yeah, because they don't do cartoons anymore. They're like, hey, we're just gonna fucking turn on a camera and look at our wacky employees doing their wacky things. No.
See, the thing is, College Humor just tried to become Cracked, and it didn't work.
Oh, Cracked, the thing that was what? Cracked? What's that?
Yeah, go check out Cracked on YouTube. They do some great stuff. Their series After Hours is fucking genius.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, I fucking love Cracked. They did a whole episode about why all the cereal mascots are secretly awful, and like Tony the Tiger encourages steroids.
Totally. Like Tony the we don't have Tony the Tiger here. We have like a monkey.
We have Comrade Bear.
Yeah. No. In Russia, all the cereal boxes are like plain. No, they just have like the angry, dead eyes of Putin just staring at you. Like no markings, just a black and white picture of Putin on a white box, and underneath it just says food.
That's all food is in Russia. If you look back, you can find some older boxes with Stalin on.
Yeah, exactly. But basically, all the food in Russia.
They just change the leader every couple of years.
They you know what they did? They just like photoshopped Stalin's face a little bit. Anyway, you know what? Like, have you guys ever watched that movie? Genetic Space Opera. It's with Paris Hilton, and it's like this giant no. Yeah. And basically, they just have all the products there just have labels of what they are. Like just cans of soup just have like soup, and but in Russia they don't even have that. It's all just labeled food. And
consume.
Not even consume. Just food. Just food. Eat the food.
Mm. That's funny. I'm reading Under a Cruel Star right now, which is about a Holocaust survivor who spent the next 20 years of her life in communist Prague, which is in Czechoslovakia. And it's pretty much the most depressing thing ever. Unsurprisingly.
There's this, I think Gaz, the girl that used to talk to us, the one that you said she was always talking to you all the time. Yeah, she's like, she recommended me a book about like her country and whatever. It's about like some sort of little dictator, and he was a cow thief, and it's really depressing because apparently like Spaniards are just like awful people. Every single one of them, and I'm like, okay.
Thank you, jackass.
Oh, that's right, you're brown. I keep forgetting.
I'm facepalming you right now. I'm facepalming you as hard as I can.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
You should feel bad about yourself.
I do that all the time, and you just make it worse.
You should feel more bad about yourself.
I don't think that's like physically possible. I think
then you should just cut off your head and mail it to me.
Like which one? I got 2 of them.
No, you don't.
So before this degenerates,
was that making fun of my masculinity or my lack thereof?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ian.
I was implying that you didn't have a penis.
I feel like last night, or the night before, I went to this party. Well, it's a movie night essentially, and it ended with me being held down by a man in underwear and a girl with her top off, scratching and biting my neck and nipples. And then the next morning, I got beaten with a double-ended dildo by a girl for some reason.
And now we've reached the point where too much has been shared. Steve, you were gonna try to dig us out of this hole. Here's my shovel. Good luck.
After hearing Milan's last comment, I might not want to touch that shovel. But anyway, let's try and dig ourselves out of this hole. Did either of you guys read what Guillermo del Toro had planned for Hellboy 3?
No.
No, I didn't. Did you?
Yeah, I did want to mention that because we know almost 90% sure that we aren't getting another Hellboy movie, which is sad.
Tell me.
I would like them to do an animated movie if they.
They do. They make like two of them. They made 2 Hellboy animated movies.
Yeah, and they were good. In all honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, like to wrap up this franchise, like a full, it wasn't. I think I saw that on like Adult Swim or something, where it's basically just the comic panels, right? Or am I thinking of something else?
They did like they did this movie pilot called.
Let me ask: when you say animated movie, do you mean more like DC animated universe, or do you mean like Black Panther animated?
There's a DC
show?
Animated universe, definitely. No, it's
okay.
Basically it's by the same guy who did the Spectacular Spider-Man art style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds interesting, but I'd like to see...
Ian, you've got to check this out. There's this pilot for a Mike Mignola show called The Amazing Screw-On Head.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, my God. Abe Lincoln sends this head man that is made out of wood to fight a guy called Emperor Zombie.
Okay, don't explain it, because it sounds so alienating.
Oh, my God.
Well, it's pretty awesome, and it's word for word the comic. But anyway...
Okay, and let's get back to this, because I would like them to get Ron Perlman and David Hyde Pierce and everyone else that they could as just voice actors and just do an animated film, or I mean if you could afford it, a 3D CG film, which could potentially be cheaper.
Well,
I don't know.
As far as Del Toro and everyone in the production team says, we're not getting it. But if they did get it, if the third film was greenlit and we got a conclusion to the franchise, it was gonna basically be Hellboy doing the inevitable apocalypse that he's destined to do, and him and Liz were going to, almost through suicide, have to embrace that destiny of destruction and just basically lead the world out of apocalypse, which sounds very fascinating.
Whoa.
It does. I mean, like, that's what I could tell they were building to, was actually, showing the apocalypse happen, which I don't think it's ever been done on screen before, where we had a character cause the apocalypse and it's the hero.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's ever happened before.
Except maybe James Franco. And Rise. He's not really... Is he the hero of that movie?
Yeah, he is, but, I mean, all that happens at the end of Rise really is that the war starts, but the apocalypse happens between the films and we don't see it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, it's interesting how much Obama keeps popping up in all these, like, post-apocalyptic movies, in, like, these news things. Like, he was in Pacific Rim, he was in... Dawn. I keep seeing him all over the place whenever they're doing, like, those news footage montages, like, leading up to a post-apocalyptic world or something like that.
Well, it's like, a black man in the White House, of course, it's the sign of the end times. That's just how...
I was watching Tosh.0, and he's doing an interview with this guy that was, like, so fucking backwards, racist, sexist, and all that shit. And the guy's like, well, they already have a Obama in the White House. And Tosh stops and goes, oh yeah, and Obama. Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
And Obama.
Yeah, just totally fucking calls him on the fact that he almost said a nigger. So that was really
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. I like Obama.
Sure, yeah.
I do. He's like a man that does a thing.
Okay.
Okay.
No, but like back to Hellboy though. I think it would have been interesting if they did have Hellboy cause the apocalypse and find a way for him to, like, you know, reverse it or whatever.
That would have been interesting, actually. Like, Stevie, can you go into a little bit more detail? What do you mean?
Well, essentially what Guillermo del Toro said, because it's not very specific, really. But his exact quote is something like, the idea was to have Hellboy come to terms with his destiny and the inevitable apocalypse. And then he says something like, him and Liz have to face that part of their nature, and they're gonna ironically vanquish it somehow, but it would only happen after the apocalypse.
Interesting.
So he didn't reveal everything, but clearly he had a direction he was going with Hellboy 3, and the only reason we're not going to get it is just because they don't make enough money. And that's understandable, because they're really expensive movies to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all those sets, and then there's the CG on top of those. And
like
like
the hours
my
and
thing
hours
is,
those actors are in makeup, if they don't make their money back, it's a really big loss.
Yeah, it's just like I'm not really surprised though that it didn't make money, because it's not Superman we're talking about here. You know, even fucking Superman Returns made like 2-3 times its budget. Even though it was awful and it had awful word of mouth, it still made so much of its money back that it had a sequel planned for years and years until Man of Steel finally happened.
What was
but
the
like,
Superman Returns sequel? What would have been like? Where did you go from there?
It was gonna be like Brainiac and Bizarro.
Yeah.
And, it's just gonna be like, I'm Superman. Look at my dead eyes. I cannot smile.
Shut up.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes, please.
no, like,
say it again.
I totally see why fucking Hellboy didn't make money. And I mean, it's good, but like, it's the same problem I think Firefly had. Of course it's not going to make money. This is not accessible to everybody.
I don't know what you're talking about. Hellboy is so accessible.
Yeah, Hellboy is totally the most, like, is totally just one of those things you can walk into and you don't need to know anything about.
I know, right? Jeez,
Totally.
definitely.
It's not alienating in any way whatsoever to any person.
Well, see,
No, it is.
It's funny that you say that, because I don't think it is alienating. I think it's just the name is Hellboy, and that's the only reason it doesn't make money.
Funny thing enough, when I was,
No, because, like, I was watching it, and there's just so much that goes on in the beginning of it. I think it just kind of, like, makes people go, what the fuck am I watching?
I don't disagree. Like, I kind of agree with the whole Hellboy thing, because when I was, like, really Christian, and I first saw the poster, I'm like, oh, mother, look at that. They have a superhero that is hell. He's coming from hell. That is unholy and ungodly, very shameful. But secretly, deep down in my darkest of hearts, I'm like, I want to see this so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
And I think that actually would be a good transition to something I kind of want to talk about, since we've got, the biggest Ghost Rider world on the podcast right now. And I think after is there anything else we want to say about the movies or the comics specifically before we transition to kind of more of a just general thing?
No, I'll stop my head now.
Okay. So demonic characters, because like I was thinking about this, we got Ghost Rider, we got demonic characters that are the hero, and not the anti-hero, the hero. So we got Ghost Rider, we got Spawn, we got Hellboy. I'm trying to think of something from DC, but it's not.
We got
Deadman,
Deadman's not really a demon though. He's just a ghost.
We got like Etrigan, we got
Etrigan.
Constantine.
Etrigan, there we go. There's just like, it's such a weird concept, but it keeps happening. And like, I guess what I find interesting about it is, in like a lot of classical stuff, Greek, Roman, Christian mythology, there's no, good demon character. Like, there's no, like, person from Hades that happens to be a good guy or anything like that.
Well, there is Hades.
So it's such a...
Like, in Greek mythology.
No, Hades is kind of just a dude. He doesn't really do a lot, except, kidnap people.
He doesn't
kidnap little girls.
Well, he did that, but basically he's a really awesome dude. Cause like, hey, you can stay with your mom for half a year. I'm cool. Like, he kills people with kindness. He's like, compared with his brothers who are just like rapists, murderers, and just overall cunts. Like, Hades gets such a bum rap. He's always like, I'm from Underworld. That means he's evil. He's not. Compared to, like, his brothers are dicks. He kind of, like, he got shortchanged, and he's like, hey, I kind of took a girl, and, she's my cousin, sure, but, fuck.
I'm taking this classical mythology course right now, and the professors just going fucking off the wall on Hades, making all these jokes that just crack me the fuck up.
Like what?
And he's like, I feel so bad for Persephone. You think about it, she's just la-di-da-di-da running through the field picking flowers, but all of a sudden the ground opens up and a bunch of fucking horses come galloping out and there's metal music blaring and he just grabs her. and then Zeus and, like, Demeter are talking and she's like, how could you give my daughter to Hades? And he's like, what? He's my bro. I mean, yeah, he's like gothy and all, but he's still my bro.
Gothy and all. Gothy.
Yeah. No, but you think about it, Hades is just like the fucking goth kid that's like of the family that just spends all his time in his room with the dog, listening to music.
You know what I think he is? He's not gothy. I think they're just gonna, Zeus got the sky, Poseidon got the water, and they just kind of said, you can have the underworld. It's like, what? I don't want the fucking underworld. It's shitty. There's like dead people and stuff. I think he's just like a normal guy in khakis, like the most.
No. Like, I want to make, like, a fucking, parody of the Greek gods and shit, and just, like, get everybody. I'm gonna play fucking Hades, and I'm gonna fucking emo out my hair and wear, like, all black and makeup and shit, and Zeus will be like, and there's my brother Hades, he's kind of goth. Guys, I'm not goth, you don't fucking understand me at all.
Napoleon Dynamite is Hades, that's perfect.
That's funny. I like you, Stevie. You're funny.
No, like,
Ian, you hear that little chuckle? You hear that little chuckle? That's Steven. That's Steve Baxi, just fucking filing that away. Like, I'm not gonna be on this podcast for very long. He's gonna start making shrines for me now.
Okay. Anyway. No, but back to, like, demonic characters. It's such a weird modern thing to take a demon, someone that's constantly associated with evil, and then make that the good guy.
Yeah.
And, Spawn doesn't do it well.
Not at all. It's like
HellBoy does it in an interesting way. I can't testify to Ghost Rider. Etrigan kind of is off on his own thing, because it's not really a demon, but still.
Well, it kind of
he's a demon.
Or it's not... No, it's not a demon in charge of a demon. It's not a demon's mind in charge of it.
Etrigan is kind of a delightful douche. He's like, hey, look, Lona, you know what he is? He's like that Shakespearean guy in the park that likes to punch people in the face. He's like, oh dear.
No, I don't know what that's like because I've never fucking experienced that.
How can you not, like, dude? Don't you just have like random troops of Shakespearean actors fucking punching each other in the park?
No, I do not have that.
You guys are so weird. I don't get you, fucking Americans. Don't have.
No, but what do you guys think about that whole thing of, like, the demonic?
It's
hero?
very subversive, actually. It's like, hey, I come from hell.
It's a weird trope.
It is a weird trope. It's like you always have to have that demonic guy on modern day teens. Is like, oh, I'm son of Satan, yo. But like, Steven, I fucking love the old school 1960s, 70s, whatever the book came out, Ghost Rider stuff.
Yeah, the 70s stuff.
Oh, I love that shit because it's drawn in such a way. It's essentially like grungy fucking comics, but. Like they talk Satan and shit. They say like the word Satan and they show Satan, and it's all kind of grungy movies, but with a fucking superhero. Yeah.
Essentially, that early Johnny Blaze stuff is basically like a Quentin Tarantino, Grindhouse, Machete kind of comic series in the 70s.
Yeah, it is. It's so fucking Grindhouse, and I love it. It's like 70s Grindhouse. It's not like the ridiculous, overblown Grindhouse of today.
Tarantino would be a good pick, or not Tarantino, but Rodriguez would be a good pick to do a Ghost Rider.
Definitely.
But
I still want Tarantino to do a Question.
Oh yeah, but I love
Tarantino's
Spirit of
Question
Vengeance.
would be amazing.
It would be.
Wouldn't it though? Because like all of his fucking, random ass pop culture references that no one's ever fucking heard of would actually work into the plot.
Definitely.
That'd be fantastic. I want Jeffrey Combs to play him though.
Who's Jeffrey Holmes?
The guy who voiced him in the animated series.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like that motherfucker's voice is brilliant. I love him. But
right.
But I guess he wouldn't have to look like anybody since if you just did the face thing the whole time.
And he looks surprisingly like the Question anyway. So.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's pretty old actually. I think he's 50 something.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean you're doing the face thing anyway, so it wouldn't be that hard to get a stunt
Yeah,
double.
but I guess you'd have to recast him if you ever did a sequel, which would suck. I don't know. I just really like his voice.
Say, Steven, what do you think of the Spirit of Vengeance Ghost Rider, the sequel?
Oh, okay, yeah, the 90s stuff. I love Danny Ketch is so much more interesting than Johnny Blaze, like by 100-fold. But the reason that works is because when Howard Mackey was writing Ghost Rider at that point, he said that it's more fascinating to have a demonic character, a really villainous monster, who is the good guy. And he doesn't understand everyone else's disdain with him. And it's really fascinating when you get into the other mythology of it, because Ghost Rider is essentially an angel from heaven, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like that's the newer stuff. I'm like,
well, that's a little bit that's in the 90s also.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't flat out say heaven in the 90s, but in the 90s run, the spirits of vengeance are forces for good, but there are still biker skeletons on fire.
Oh, definitely. What do you think of the...
God was going through a phase.
It's like, oh my god, why aren't my angels like so faggy and they have like blonde hair? I want a fucking skeleton and a leather jacket. Hey, Death! What? Get a leather jacket on. No, I like my robes. Get a leather jacket on. Okay. Now I'm gonna set your head on fire.
Jacket.
Yeah. What? You're gonna set my head on fire? Yes. You suck.
Okay. You gotta learn when to fucking end a bit.
No, never. If I could just go on with a bit forever, I would.
Yeah, I know, and that's a problem. Anyway,
Is it now? But Steven, what do you think of the sequel for the movie, the sequel movie of Ghost Rider thing with Johnny Blaze?
It's so bad. It makes the first one look like the friggin' Dark Knight.
I love it so much. I love it because it's just so fucking... It's that shitty grungy element that I like. It's just like...
That movie is an acid trip, though. It doesn't make any sense.
It is amazing. What are you talking about? It makes perfect fucking sense. Everyone keeps saying that that movie doesn't make any sense. I'm like, it makes perfect sense. It fits so perfectly together in my mind. I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. It's like that shitty movie everyone makes when they want to become a filmmaker? Like, oh man, I want to have cultists and like guys in black robes and it's a conspiracy and whatever. That's that movie, but with Ghost Rider in it.
See, I don't even kind of agree with that, but...
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, Steve, you didn't really throw in on the whole demonic character thing in general.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to address that. Because what's interesting about that is even our characters who are inherently heroic still have demonic influence in them to a certain extent. Like, just look at characters like old pulps, like The Shadow or Batman. Like, just inherently, their ideas of infusing fear to reduce or decrease the amount of a certain activity like crime is a little bit demonically influenced. And if you read through Grant Morrison's Batman very specifically, Batman has a very clear symbolism and connection to Satan. And it's strange that now that we're getting like very specific demonic creatures as title characters, like we have Hellboy and we've got Etrigan the Demon and we got Ghost Rider and stuff like that. But it really does feel like it's just an extension of the darker elements of heroes that already existed. Because even characters like Superman have an element of darkness to them. Because Superman's a Nietzschean idea, and that's already inherently dark.
I still disagree with that entirely. I do not see any Nietzsche in Superman whatsoever.
Yeah, he's just...
Well, I mean, the whole concept of Superman is inspired from the whole Ubermensch idea.
No, I think they just like the name. They're just like, hey, it's Superman.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, Superman was when he was first being created. He was going to be a villain.
Yeah, but then they
thought,
they said that, but then they're like, fuck it, let's just make him a hero.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, then he was still like a social crusader and stuff. Like, Superman isn't completely campy. There's still parts of him that are a little bit more terrifying.
Well, as long as he's punching rich people in the face, that's all I like it. They just...
like, Grant Morrison Superman's a good example of that. Like, that Superman is not all the way a good guy.
Well, I disagree. Really? Like, he's punching the rich in the face. So
he's not the classical idea of everyone thinks that Superman is a Boy Scout. Like, that character is clearly not a Boy Scout. He's got very strict opinions, and while he evolves to that stage, there's still an element of you've got all that power, and it's gonna, to a certain extent, make you darker in places.
I don't know. I always see Superman as kind of like being like the patron saint of rescue workers. It's like that if he was a god, that's who the firemen and the fucking Red Cross people would pray to or whatever.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I'm just saying, like, you can't escape that there is still elements of darkness no matter what kind of hero you've got. I suppose if you go back to like Byronic heroes and stuff, and it's just the idea of a hero with a dark side, and that's going to be inherent no matter how good the hero is.
Yeah, fucking Byron, dude.
And even Shakespeare did it. Like, even Hamlet is a Byronic hero because he's so broody.
Hamlet was like the original 90s emo character that just sits around and doesn't do anything, but just talks to himself constantly.
Like he's very indecisive, but at the same time, like, it just serves to the point that no matter how much power you have and no matter how much good you're going to do, there's still an element of darkness to every idea.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. I think we got everything out about that then. Any final thoughts on Hellboy then?
I like him very much. He's a cool superhero and stuff.
Yeah, he's a very fun character, and I really do like the first and second movie.
Me too.
Yeah, I really enjoy the movies. Oh, my favorite scene has to be when Abe and Hellboy sing.
Oh,
that was fun.
Yeah.
That was
a great scene. I didn't love Abe and Hellboy drunkenly talking over Liz, because I'm like, how the fuck would you not have woken up already? But regardless, I guess Rasputin snuck into her room and that didn't wake her up, so maybe she's a heavy sleeper. Also, Rasputin as the villain, good choice.
Rasputin has such a fucking bad rap. I'm like, just because he died in a badass way and has a beard and apparently was a healer or whatever, he's like, all he did was heal a little bulimic boy, apparently. Like,
bulimic? Yes, he healed a bulimic boy.
I don't know, a boy that you cut him that won't stop bleeding, that type of thing. I don't know. Fuck.
What's the name for that? Homophobe?
Homophobic. Who? Little bitch, I don't give a fuck. Royalty that scourged and sucked at the blood of the poor.
Steve, do you know the name of that disease? Can you help me out?
I think it's like hemophilia something. I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah,
it does start with an H.
Yeah, I know. It's not a bitch disease. It's like this. It was called the royal curse for a while because there was so much intermarriage between families. The gene kept getting passed.
Well, if you fuck your sister, yes, you're gonna fucking.
No, it wasn't like sisters. They're like third cousins and stuff. Because you got to remember, in World War I, there were letters sent between the leaders of the royal families. How's the war going for you, brother? It's like, well, shit. Anyway.
Brother.
So, with that, let's go ahead and
does it frighten you that the world was once controlled by a gigantic mob family? Essentially.
No.
Like they're like, oh, they're all fucking related. What the fuck? How? What? You're all related?
And yet they still fought wars. That's the weird
Yes.
part.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
All right. So let's go ahead and do a score for Hellboy for shits and grins. Steve, you know how our scoring system works,
Yes.
correct? Okay, then you're gonna go.
All
first.
right. I am going to give Hellboy 1 and 2 as a collective piece 4.5 Cthulhu tentacle monsters out of 5.
I give
Milan?
the two Hellboy movies 5 out of 5 punches to the face or ground up trolls.
Okay. I give the two Hellboy movies 3.5, a strong 3.5 though. David Hyde Pierce secret performances out of 5.
I think that one won.
Yeah, anyway. So, everyone, thank you for listening. Next week, we will be discussing... Steve, I told you I had 3 ideas. I'm trying to think of the one I want right now. Fuck. We're going to talk about Nazis. Next week, we're going to talk about Nazis.
Nazis are awesome.
No. Like, is there something you're not telling us, Stevie? It's like he's at home. He has a giant fucking shrine to Hitler. Like, oh no.
All I'm got to say is Heil.
What? What? Well.
No, we're going to be talking about Nazis. That'll be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about, obviously the real history is going to come up because I'm a history buff and I've taken an entire class just on World War II back in high school, so I have a lot of this shit in my head, but we're mainly going to be talking about how they're portrayed in fiction, and it wouldn't hurt to watch Iron Sky before next week's video for both of you and for anyone listening that's interested, because I think that might actually come up.
And if anyone
you
has
just
the
want to
money
talk
or the
about Iron
patience to
Sky,
read Henry
don't you?
Kissinger, that'd be very interesting.
Fucking Henry.
Can you say that again, Steve? Because one of you got cut
Okay,
off.
I was just going to say that if anyone has the money or the patience to read Henry Kissinger's Diplomacy, that would be very helpful.
Fucking Henry Kissinger.
Oh, yeah,
sure. Oh my god, that motherfucker's hysterical. But you just want to talk about Iron Skies, don't you, Ian? You've just been fucking pimping that movie 24/7 every time we're online.
No, it's been in my head recently. I was in class the other day. And
Anytime I talk to you, you bring that movie up eventually in the conversation.
Bullshit.
I'm serious.
Don't fucking lie.
I'm not.
No, bullshit.
Fucking listen. You bring up Iron Sky. Doesn't he fucking bring up Iron Sky? At least once at some point in the conversation, you will bring up Iron Skies.
Shut the fuck up.
No, I'm serious.
Anyway,
I'm serious.
I don't fucking care if you're serious. Just take your mouth, put your hand over it, and shove your fist in your face. Anyway.
What?
No, I find Iron Sky really fun, and I brought it up in class because, it's a Nazi society that lived on after Hitler, which I don't think anyone had really done, at least not in, a fully rounded out way. There's always, Nazis that still worship, or still have that, devotion to Hitler, but they don't have a new leader kind of thing, which you'd eventually need, so it is just interesting. Though ridiculous, and there's a swastika-shaped Death Star that runs on a smartphone. So yeah. Anyway, until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I am the Madman.
And I am...
I don't know what the fuck that was.
That was the Batman theme song.
Oh,
Okay, we couldn't understand it all.
I just you're the Lovecraftian static monster.
Why not?
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing